What's better, becoming a real estate agent or becoming a real estate wholesaler? That is a question I want to answer for you here today, and I am qualified to answer this question for you because I used to be a real estate agent, but I'm no longer a real estate agent. I became a wholesaler, and I can tell you this, that I have made more money and easier money as a real estate wholesaler than I ever did as a real estate agent. And that's the reason why I did this video for you. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it so that you can know what's better for you. Hey, don't forget that if you like this video, you like the content on this channel, make sure you subscribe and you hit the notification bell. Give me a like, make a comment. If you think I'm way off base, if you think that Chico is crazy, make a comment about that too. Don't worry, I like crazy people. So here's what we're going to cover in this video is, number one is, let's cover the differences between being a real estate agent and how that works versus being a wholesaler and how that works. Then we're going to go ahead and cover what's better. And most importantly, I'm going to share with you where you should start. If you have a license or you don't have a license, should you get a license? Should you leave your license? What are the decision points that are going to make you the most amount of money and give you the most amount of opportunity? And that's what we're here to discuss today. So let's go ahead and go, first of all, into the how a real estate agent works. Now, first of all, with a real estate agent, you do need a license. You cannot sell a property on behalf of someone else without having a real estate license. Do not do that. And so therefore, you want to make sure that you have a license. If you're selling a property on behalf of someone else, that means that you do not have an ownership interest in that property. It's a very important concept. Because that's going to come in handy. You're being aware of that concept is going to come in handy when we got into the wholesaling. Now, I see being a real estate agent more as being a career, more of a job than actually owning a business. It's a highly paid job, because of the fact that you have unlimited income potential to make money as a real estate agent. However, keep in mind is that the average agent only does 1 to 2 deals a year, one or two real estate transactions a year. So they don't really make that much money. Now, the 1 or 2 real estate deals a year, it's because of the fact that when you look at the total amount of people that are licensed as real estate agents, it's really, and you consider the amount of transactions being done, it's really not that many. So really only a very small number of real estate agents really thrive. So because of that, there's a bit of a high failure rate when it comes to becoming a real estate agent. Everybody has these dreams of, when they watch the shows on TV and dreams of becoming an amazing agent and making all this money. But in the end, it doesn't really pan out that way. And, there's a lot of competition. A lot of people have a real estate license. There are millions and millions of real estate licensees. Now, how agents get paid is they typically get paid on the commission on the sale of the property. So typically, it's 6% of the sales price. 3% goes to the listing agent. 3% goes to the selling agent. So there's always a listing and the selling agent. Sometimes they could be one and the same. Now, let's say, for example, you have a property that is going to sell for $200,000. If you're the listing agent or the selling agent, you'll get 3%. And again, it's not really common for you to be both the listing and the selling agent. It can happen, but it's not common. So you'll make, in this scenario, 3% would be a $6,000 gross commission. And then you have to split that with your broker. So depending on the broker, depending on your scenario, it could be a 50-50 split, where if you are a brand new real estate agent, you're coming into a real estate brokerage office and they're going to give you a lot of training, going to teach you the ropes, then likelihood is you're going to be at a 50-50 or 60-40 split. So then the $6,000 commission, you're not going to get the whole thing. Sometimes if you are in an office where you are experienced, they're not going to give you that much hand holding, but they do provide some services and a few other resources for you as a real estate agent. Maybe they're doing a lot of advertising throughout the area. Then it could be a 75-25 split, 75% to you, 25% to the brokerage, or you could be at a 90-10% split, which is where the broker is just basically providing you with the ability to hang your office somewhere, because I did put this on the outline. you become a real estate agent first, and then typically after you've been in the business for a certain period of time and you've had your license active for a certain period of time, and this varies by state, then you can get a broker's license. A broker's license enables you to then open up your own office. And so in the beginning, you're going to be just a real estate agent, and you have to put your license under a broker. That's a requirement. And so then in this scenario, the 90-10 split, the broker is just providing you with with just the bare basics, a phone system, an office address, paperwork, and an escrow account, maybe, because sometimes the brokerages don't have an escrow account. They may just have you put the deposits up with a title company whenever your buyer makes an offer on the property, but they're just providing you with the basics. And so in that scenario, you'd be at a 90-10 split. So you're going to get 90% of the commission, and they're going to get 10%. Now, that's how agents get paid. Now, let's go ahead and go in terms of, so how do you find clients then as a real estate agent? Well, you find clients as a real estate agent a variety of different ways. You can do online marketing. You could be running Facebook ads. You could go and work with sites such as Zillow that will generate leads, and then you become the agent of choice in that particular platform, and then they'll be able to send you leads. You'll work on referrals and people that know you. You could do direct mail. There's a variety of different ways you can go out and find prospects as a real estate agent. We're not going to get into that. This is not a video about that, but that's just to give you a really clear understanding of how being a real estate agent works. Now, how does being a wholesaler work? Well, as a wholesaler, you're presenting yourself to the market as a buyer of property, whereas with an agent, you're telling the market, hey, I'm a real estate agent. If you're interested in selling your property, let me help you with that. Let me do it for you. Let me facilitate the sale. Let me handle all the paperwork. And then obviously you're going to pay, the owner's going to pay you a commission. When it comes to you being a wholesaler, you're presenting yourself to the market as a buyer of property. So you're gonna go out and you're gonna find a property owner. You're gonna negotiate a price on the property. You are then going to sign an agreement with the owner. You're going to find another investor that is another real estate investor that is looking for these type of deals. And I'll give you an example here in just a few minutes. And then you're going to sell your contract. That is the key thing about this whole thing. You are now you have an ownership interest in this whole transaction. So now you have a contract that you have with the property owner, and you have the ability through U.S. law to sell that contract and be able to sell it to another individual. And we do that process through what's called an assignment of contract. And then you get paid at closing when the buyer closes on the property. Now, do you need a license to be able to do that? The answer is no, you don't need a license. You're not selling a property on behalf of someone else. You're selling your contract. And so that's the big difference. Now, the exception is that there are some states that do require you to have a license as a real estate wholesaler. Now, in Illinois, for example, is one of those states. So Illinois is the only state right now that requires that. However, things may change at the date of this video. There might be another state that might require that. There's not that many. I think it's Illinois. Maybe there might be some states that might have some stricter laws around it. For example, Ohio is one of them. But just check with your local state law to see if wholesaling is going to require a license. Now, if you are in Illinois, for example, and it does require a license for you to become a real estate wholesaler, that could be a good thing because it's going to eliminate a lot of competition. Most people, there's not that much competition right now in Illinois. Why? Because the wholesalers have just gotten out of the game. They're going to do virtual wholesaling instead. So there's an opportunity for you to have a license. And also from a marketing and positioning perspective, you can tell a property owner that, hey, I have a license. If you're working with a real estate investor, you should be working with a real estate investor that has a license, because that means that they're bound by certain ethics and certain procedures with the state of that you're working in, and so therefore that protects you, Mr. Seller, as a consumer. But if you're in a state that does require a license, you can start with virtual wholesaling, and you can check out some videos on my channel about virtual wholesaling, and then eventually get your license with your local area to do deals locally. And so now, how does a wholesaler get paid? Well, a wholesaler gets paid, and let me just zoom into this. You get paid an assignment fee. So let's say you go out and you negotiate a purchase price with a property owner for $55,000. And then you find an investor buyer that is looking for that type of deal. So you are going to then sell them your contract. for $70,000. The $70,000 is, let me put that here in between here. So let's say you take and you sell your contract for $15,000. That's $15,000 on top of the $55,000. That means that you have a $70,000 total price that buyer is going to pay. So in summary, the purchase price that you bought it from the owner was $55,000. The end buyer, investor cash buyer, paid a total of $70,000, which included the $55,000 plus the $15,000 assignment fee, and that's how wholesaling works. Now, I discussed then how real estate agent works and how a wholesaler works. So which one is better? So it's easier to make a $15,000 assignment fee as a wholesaler than it is to make a $15,000 commission as a real estate agent. So for example, as a real estate agent, you'd have to sell a house for $500,000, which, it's always a tough market to sell a property at that price point. That's in Miami. That's kind of like a little bit, average price points here are quite large. But however, if you're in a smaller market, that could be a luxury home. In Miami, a luxury home is like $1.5 million. In your neck of the woods, a luxury home could be $500,000. And there's not that many buyers for these type of houses generally in most of the country. So if you get a 3% commission, that's $15,000. Now, again, you're not going to get the whole 15 if you're a licensed agent and you're with a broker, and depending on your split, you're not going to get that whole entire money. So that is the example of the real estate agent. So let's go with the example of the wholesaling example. If you negotiate a price of $55,000 on a property that is worth $140,000, and now you might be asking, well, how can you get a property for $55,000 that's worth $140,000? Well, you got to watch some of the other videos that I have here on the channel of a wholesaling, how to get started with wholesaling real estate video that you can look at, and we'll give you step-by-step more details on how to do that specifically. Now in this scenario, you sell your contract to the investors for $15,000. And so then now the total price was $70,000 that you sold the property for, but that included your $15,000. And so then now you have the potential to make that $15,000 because there's certainly a lot more properties out there available in your market in that price point, $130,000, $120,000, $100,000. That's a normal price point. If you were to sell this property, then you'd have to do 3% of 150. Let's say if it was $150,000, 3% of that would be what is that? 40? Is that $4,500? Yeah, $4,500. So you'd have to sell like 3 properties as an agent at getting paid 3% commission in order to do the same thing as you would have gotten paid to make a $15 assignment fee. It's easier. You have the potential also to make more money as a wholesaler than you would as a real estate agent. And so that's the reason why I think that being a wholesaler is better than being a real estate agent. So now the question is, where should you start? Well, here's the thing. If you don't have a license, don't get your license. There's no reason to get your license. Just start right away as a wholesaler and start making some big checks, start making some big money, and you can avoid all this. Now, if you do have a license, then here's my suggestion to you, is start looking for those below market deals. Start going out and looking for properties that are gonna need some work, that the seller and the situation is such that they can't sell it through normal means. And so now you have the opportunity to put that property on the contract. Now, I'm not gonna get into this in this video, but if you do have a license and you're going out into the public and advertising as a buyer, you do have to disclose to the seller that you are a real estate agent. If you are advertising, you depending on your state, most states require disclosure. I'm going to tell you what I do, not what you should do. So take this with a grain of salt. I have a corporation, and so I do business as a corporation. So when I do any sort of advertising, I'm doing advertising as a corporation, not an individual agent. And so therefore, I may not state upfront that I am a real estate agent or hold a license. However, at the time of the contract, when I put a property on the contract, then I will disclose that the owners and or managers of the corporation may or may not hold an active real estate license in the state of Florida. And then the next thing is that you're going to go out and you're going to talk to a lot more property owners, and you're going to then find property owners that you're not able to purchase a property at a discount. So what you can do is just easily offer to list the property and say, hey, I can list this property for you if you're interested. So you're giving the option of the two options to the property owner. The other thing you can do is you could take the leads that you generate that are not going to be properties that are going to be good for wholesaling, and you could refer them out to other agents and get paid a referral fee. Now, if you don't have a license, most states do not allow you to then refer a deal to an agent to list, and then you collect a commission. There's ways to get around that. You could do a marketing fee, etc. But I'm not going to get into that. So for the purposes of this video, and I don't want to give you any sort of legal advice, you have to kind of work through that. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that this is where I stand. If you don't have a license, don't get one. Just start right away as a wholesaler. If you do have a license, start looking for below market deals, and you know what? You're going to come across deals that are in fact not gonna do anything with you as a wholesaler. So guess what? Now you have an opportunity to create another revenue source and another income source from your license. So there you have it. Now, what do you think? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm completely off base? Or are you thinking now, wait, I got to get into this wholesaling game? If you do, then right somewhere over here or over there, a couple of videos will pop up that will give you more training on how exactly it is that you can get into the art and the science and amazing opportunity of real estate wholesaling.